Hello everyone, today's video will be my March and April wrap up. I have 11 books to talk about. 2 of them I did actually read at the end of February, but I had pre-filmed my wrap up so I didn't include them. So I do have 2 books from February, but everything else I read in March and April. I finished a series in March, which I'm very happy about, and I have been reading quite a few physical books, which I'm also very happy about. And I honestly think doing my wrap-ups every 2 months has really helped me just feel less pressure to make sure I have enough books to talk about for my wrap-ups. I feel like there's just less pressure, which I like. Anyways, I'm going to jump into the wrap-up. One of the books that I read at the end of February was Hookshot by Kennedy Ryan. This is the 3rd book in the Hoops series. This I gave 3 out of 5 stars. This is a beautiful slow burn friends to lovers romance. It follows Keenan, who is a basketball player, and he is a divorced single dad. And Lotus is a fashion designer, and Keenan is kind of like the spokesperson, I guess, or like this model for this brand that Lotus works for as well. So they are now kind of working together, or they're kind of close. But of course, there's a lot of obstacles that they have to go through to be together. It's a very beautiful book. I just didn't love the characters, to be honest. I didn't really feel their chemistry. I did like how Keenan really wanted Lotus, and I like how Lotus respected what he was going through. Sadly, I only really loved Longshot in this little trilogy, but I am definitely going to keep reading Kennedy Ryan. I have bought one of her newer books, so yeah, I'm excited to read more by her. I just didn't love this. The other book I read at the end of February was More Than I Could by Adriana Locke. This I gave 2 out of 5 stars. It follows a grumpy single dad who is in need of a nanny. Our female character comes in the picture and she becomes a nanny for 30 days because she just like needs a job for 30 days. And obviously they fall for each other. There's really not much to the story. I think that's why I rated it so low. I just didn't feel like it was anything special. It was a very basic, simple romance. It was small town, which I did like. I just feel like I've read so many books like this, and this one just didn't do anything for me. Then I read a very popular and well-loved book, and that is Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is the 1st book in the Chestnut Springs series, and this I gave 3 out of 5 stars. The male character is a professional bull rider, and our female character is his agent's daughter, and she needs to keep an eye on him, keep him in line because he has had kind of this scandal, and she is supposed to make sure that he doesn't get into any more trouble. I'm realizing more and more that I do not like a lot of the books that everybody else loves. It's not that I didn't like this, I just didn't think it was anything special. I didn't feel the chemistry between the characters. I didn't really care for the characters. I kind of felt like the book dragged a little bit. I did like how this book took place in Canada. It took place in Alberta. I will say Chestnut Springs does not sound like a place in Alberta, but that's just my opinion. I did not like the 3rd act conflict breakup situation. That was really annoying, and I don't know. I felt like the male character was kind of immature. I feel like his character development really didn't go anywhere. I don't know. I just didn't love this. I don't really get the hype. I feel like it's such a basic, mediocre romance. That's just how I feel. I didn't feel like it was anything 5-star worthy for me, but that's probably just because I don't really give out 5 stars, and I have a really high standard for 5-star reads. But yeah, I am maybe planning to continue this series. I think I am going to try to read the 2nd book, and if I also don't like the 2nd book, I won't continue this series, but I sadly just didn't love this as much as everybody else does. Then I read Jasper Vale by Devney Perry. This is the 4th book in the Eden series. This I also gave 3 out of 5 stars. This follows Eloise, who runs her family's hotel, and her dream is to own the hotel and run it herself. But there was a situation in which her parents didn't feel like she was responsible enough to run it yet. And Eloise ends up going to Vegas with her family for a family event, and she ends up marrying a stranger, basically. That stranger is Jasper, who is Foster's friend, which Foster's from Garnet Flats, the previous book. Jasper wants to stay married because he has to go to a wedding and he wants to show up with a partner, so they agree to stay married and have a fake marriage for a couple of months. I just feel like this series has kind of gone downhill a little bit. I'm not fully in love with the last couple of books. I feel like I only really liked the first two. I felt a little bit of chemistry between the characters, but I was really more annoyed with Eloise's family. Like, the Edens were really annoying to me. The fact that they just didn't trust Eloise because of one screw up, like, I just feel like that was so dramatic. I get it, but she's such a kind person. Like, I don't understand why they couldn't have like an honest conversation about if she was ready to deal with the hotel. I felt like Jasper was really like the only person in her corner, which I guess obviously makes sense, but I felt like that was the only like good thing about him. I don't know. I just didn't love this book, sadly. I will continue the series because I do love Devney Perry, but I am just not loving this series as much as I thought I would. Then we get to a series that I finished, which I'm very happy about. I finally finished the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Carrie Maniscalco. So I read the second book, which is Hunting Prince Dracula. This I gave 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't love this book, but I think it's because it was so long since I read the first book that it took me a minute to get back into this world and with these characters. This entire series follows Audrey Rose, who is kind of like in high society. I think her dad is like a lord, and she is not interested in living like this lavish life. She is interested in forensic medicine and like detective work and all of that. And she ends up attending her uncle's like studies, and she meets Thomas, who is one of, I guess, her classmates, sort of, and they embark on a bunch of mysteries and they fall in love, and it's very, very cute, but very fun and very action-packed and adventurous. I really, really love this series. Like I said, this is the second book, so it picks up after the first book. Audrey Rose and Thomas are going to, oh my gosh, where are they going? Oh, they're going to Romania, and this is loosely kind of based on like Dracula. I liked it. I just wasn't obsessed with it. It took me like a minute to get into it. Like I said, I did not expect the like plot twist or the reveal. I did not see it coming. I don't know if it's because it's been so long since I've read some YA, but it shocked me. I love Audrey Rose and Thomas. So I continued and read the third book, which is Escaping from Houdini. This takes place on a ship. They are on their way to America, and there is like these 7 nights of carnival entertainment. There ends up being a murder on the ship, so they have to figure out who is murdering these young women, and it's very interesting. I liked this book, but I hated the sort of love triangle situation that was going on. It was totally unnecessary, but I understand like the author wanted to create like some angst between Audrey Rose and Thomas. The love triangle wasn't done that well. Like, it was built up very good in the beginning, but then the resolution just fell apart for me. This is actually the first book I have fully annotated, which is crazy. I don't just mean like adding sticky tabs and stuff. I mean like I fully have underlined things in here, which is so fun. I have never done that before. This is the first book that I kind of have like underlined things and put sticky tabs. So yeah, this was kind of like a special experience, and honestly I'm obsessed with annotating in my books now. I don't do it for every single book. It's just a book that I'm really into, I will start doing it. If I'm not into the book, I won't even bother because I'm not going to want to go back and look at, you know, my notes and stuff. But yeah, this one was a little disappointing. I didn't love this one. It's definitely my least favorite in the series, but I continued anyways, and I read Capturing the Devil, which is the 4th and final book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, and this I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved this. It was so good. I feel like the mystery aspect isn't as strong in this book. It's mainly about like Audrey Rose and Thomas being in love and like figuring out their future and stuff, but there is a slight mystery, and I really liked that aspect of this book. I will also say there is another like relationship conflict in here, which I did not like, but I loved the way that that was handled, and I love Audrey Rose and her family. Her family is just fantastic. This is also another book that I completely annotated. This is a fully annotated book where I like actually have like a lot of things underlined, and then also I would write on the side here, which I have never done before. So this is a fully annotated book. This was like the beginning. This is like the annotated book. But I loved this book. I loved the ending. It was perfect. This is a new favorite YA series. I really, really loved it. I highly recommend this if you're in the mood for some YA and you want, you know, a little historical fiction mystery with a little bit of romance. Highly, highly recommend it. Then I read Wait With Me by Amy Dawes. This I gave 2 out of 5 stars. I actually have a whole video dedicated to this book because it is a Passionflix adaptation. So I read the book and I watched the movie and I vlogged and reviewed the entire experience. So I will link that video down below. This follows Kate, who is an author, and she's in a little bit of like a writing slump, but she finds inspiration at this tire shop. So she kind of sneaks into this tire shop every day to write, and she ends up meeting and falling in love with one of the mechanics, Miles. This is a basic, simple, easy romance. I didn't love the characters, but I didn't hate them. The plot was just not really my thing. It's a very, very short book, so I just feel like it didn't really have like a lot of substance. The sex scenes were fine. I don't know, I just wasn't super in love with this book. I did have really high hopes for it, and I think that is maybe why I didn't love this that much, but yeah, it was alright. The movie was alright as well. Then I finally finished Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This I gave 2 out of 5 stars. I actually started this back in beginning of March. It was like around my birthday, so I want to say I started it like March 10th or March 11th, and I had finished it like April 20th. It took me a really, really long time to finish this because I found it incredibly boring. This follows Nora, who is a literary agent, and she is going on this little vacation with her sister to this really small town, and Nora bumps into Charlie, who is a editor who she knows from New York, and he's in this small town, and they have this like cute little back and forth, this cute little romance going on. But Nora is also dealing with some issues with her sister, and I guess reminiscing on like her childhood and all that kind of stuff. Emily Henry, to me, is not a romance author. She is a women's fiction writer. A romance to me is the main plot and the main focus of the book. It is what drives the book. It is what moves the book along. The 2 books that I've read by Emily Henry so far are not romances. They are women's fiction with a like slight romance subplot. And it really bothers me how her books are always categorized as romance, because they are not. They are women's fiction. I knew that going into this book because I have read Emily Henry before, so I knew that the romance would not be the main focus. I just wanted to try to read Emily Henry again, and I realized she's not an author for me. I just found this book so incredibly boring. I somewhat liked Nora. Like, there was moments where I liked her, there were moments where I didn't like her. I wasn't super in love with Charlie either. Like, I didn't find anything about him that captivating. I did like Nora's sister Libby, but everything could have been solved by an easy conversation. They didn't talk about anything, which is so frustrating because Nora is claiming this entire time how her and Libby are so close and they share everything, and yet they don't talk about anything. I will say the ending was cute, and I did have some moments where I teared up, specifically where like Nora and Libby are talking about like everything that's going on towards the end, I did tear up a little bit. That was the only thing that like made up for this whole book because it was just so boring. I'm sorry. This just really didn't do it for me, and I'm sad, but also I'm very confident in saying that I won't pick up anything else by Emily Henry. Then I finished the month with starting a new series. I read Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco, which I gave 3 out of 5 stars. This follows Amelia, who is a witch, and she ends up losing a family member, so she is set to avenge that family member, and she ends up summoning Wrath, a prince of hell, and kind of makes a deal with him that sends her on this long, adventurous journey. I enjoyed this. I didn't love it as much as I thought I would. I thought I was going to be obsessed with it. I thought I was going to love it more than her Stalking Jack the Ripper series, but so far that has not happened. The first book is a great setup for the world and the like characters and just the whole vibe, but I feel like not a lot happened in this book, and there was more action like towards the end of the book. Honestly, if I had just owned this first book, I don't think I would have continued the series. However, I do own the next 2 books. There were parts of this book that were intriguing, but it was kind of boring. I did continue, like I said, so I did read Kingdom of the Cursed, which is the second book. This one I also gave 3 out of 5 stars. I actually talked about this in my most recent vlog, so I will link that down below. This one I liked a little bit more. I feel like there was a little bit more going on. The ending of this book was super shocking though. I did not expect that. There's like multiple revelations towards the end, and I was shocked at literally all of them. The first 200 pages definitely dragged, and I feel like not much happened in the beginning, but now it kind of makes sense. Like once you get to the end and you're like, oh my god, now I understand why nothing really happened. Everything connected. It just made total sense. But yeah, I will start the 3rd book soon. I am excited to see how everything unfolds and what happens, but yeah, I am not super in love with the series, unfortunately. Like I didn't tab anything. There wasn't really anything that I wanted to underline. I might feel differently with the 3rd book, but so far this series is not really comparing to her Stalking Jack the Ripper series. So those are all the books that I read in March and April. Let me know what you've been reading recently and if you have any recommendations for me. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!